For world leaders and other VIPs who use Facebook and social media, the recent decision by the quasi-independent Facebook Oversight Board about former President Donald Trump is supposed to send a message.
The same rules that apply to all Facebook users should also apply to influential users. Influential users should not be judged against a separate set of rules.
But the decision raises more questions about what exactly those rules are and what it means for world leaders who want to get their message out, putting a harsh spotlight again on tech's power over online speech.
We will never give up.
This week, the board, made up of journalists, activists, and lawyers, said that the social networking giant made the right call when it suspended Trump after the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol in January, but erred in making the ban indefinite. The board gave Facebook 6 months to make a final decision on Trump's account. Facebook said it would carefully review the board's recommendations.
Facebook had sort of punted the decision to the oversight board, putting Trump in an indefinite suspension and kind of leaving it to the oversight board to make the final call. But the oversight board is punting right back to Facebook and saying, no, this is on you. You need to clarify your policies and then decide whether this man meets them or not.
The board wrestled with the complex interplay between free speech and protecting people, said Emma Alonso.
In international human rights law, there is strong protection for freedom of expression for everyone, but there's also a recognition that some kinds of speech can actually lead to real-world violence.
There's been mixed reaction to the decision, with conservative lawmakers in the U.S. criticizing Facebook for keeping Trump off, and others saying he should have been permanently banned. Trump didn't address the decision, but criticized technology companies on his new site Wednesday. One thing that should change, the board said, is making exceptions for world leaders, whose postings, no matter how inaccurate or controversial, are deemed newsworthy because of their political standing.
This idea of a newsworthiness allowance, that things may be justified to be said on Facebook because they're newsworthy. We're saying if there's ever a balance, it has to be towards keeping people safe.
The vast majority of politicians in this world don't need these exceptions because they are not trying to undermine democracy or they are not trying to demonize entire communities.
The board's decision is a step closer to creating stronger rules, important especially when Facebook is operating in places with fragile democracies, said Wendy Fye.
They need to take a careful look at those policy recommendations because civil society and our own organization has been saying the exact same thing for so long, and it has been ignored, with the result being death and damage to democracies. They have their values, they need to live up to them.
Now that the ball is back in Facebook's court, political leaders, influential people, and its 2.8 billion users worldwide will have to wait and see if the social network makes changes. Tina Trin, VOA News.